Raad Life, the only talk radio show that takes you along with host and age explorer Rod Gantos on his continuing journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older. The Raad Life is brought to you this week by Your Home for a Lifetime, a company dedicated to empowering you to stay safely, independently, and comfortably in your own home. And now here is your host, Rad Gantos.
Oh, sorry, Paul. Hold on a second. I'll be right with you. I'm just checking to see what's the latest on OC coffee culture.
That's what you're checking? Okay.
Yeah, I'm checking. I just, because I need to be in the know, and if you need to be in the know, you need to be like checking out OC coffee culture on Instagram.
Wow.
Yes.
Is it instant
and
coffee?
On Facebook.
And is it instant coffee on Instagram?
I'm not telling you. You got to go check it out and get an instant fix when you go check it out.
What a clever way to lead into today's guest here. Oh, my goodness.
Really? Did you just give me the word clever? You just like...
That was clever.
You acknowledged.
Like
wow. I feel like completely validated now.
Before you do our first guest here today, though, the other day was Prime Day on Amazon. Were you primed to buy? Did you buy anything on Amazon?
Was it Prime Day?
It was. That was.
But if you're an Amazon Prime user, isn't every day a Prime Day?
But it was a special Super Prime Day. It was a super secret double.
Super secret double whatever. What is this? Animal House?
Animal House, right. Yeah.
No, I did not.
It was larger than Cyber Monday.
And how is it possible that you could not notify me of such things?
I
count on you to let me know. So now, this is why I can't count on you anymore. That's why I have to go to OC Coffee Culture to find out what's going on.
Oh, back to that. All right, see how he brings it right back. So welcome, OC Coffee. What is OC Coffee Culture, and who's your guest?
Riley had no clue what she was getting into doing this show.
Oh.
She's like, but I know you, but this is not what I know.
So who's your guest, and what's OC Coffee Culture?
Riley, introduce yourself.
Oh my gosh, well thank you for having me. This is an honor and exciting. OC Coffee Culture, basically it's for people who enjoy coffee.
And are amped like me because I've had too much in the morning.
I guess.
1 to 2 cups, no. It's a special place. There's something so special about coffee in general and about the drinking of coffee. It's ritualistic. It's something that you do every single day. Millions of Americans do it every single day. I mean, obviously all across the world. But there's something that is inherent to the preparing and the drinking and the community that comes together with coffee.
Well, and not to pick on the lesser than, the tea drinkers.
Oh.
But
lesser than.
The lesser than.
Wow,
yes.
you slipped that one in.
But I will tell you, the tea drinkers. Can I say that 3 times? The tea drinkers are actually an elevated level to another group that's even lower than that.
It's an elevated to a lower.
We got tiers.
You go up to go down.
Absolutely. Okay. I am a coffee snob. Okay. I will admit it. Hello, my name is Rod Gantos, and I am a coffee snob. Okay. Hello, Rod. Can we work on this, please, people? Okay.
Welcome,
right.
Rod.
Welcome, Rod. So, I am a coffee snob. Okay, I am a coffee snob by virtue of my experience. Okay, I grew up in places where we had strong coffee, and you brewed it in a pot, and it looked like mud after you were done, and you drank the liquid, and we fell asleep at night because we drank it when we were so young. It didn't really have an effect on us. In fact, it lulled us into a case of ritualistic bliss. To use a word Riley just used, ritualistic.
Is that way in the whole Middle East? I mean, you grew up.
Yeah,
in,
but I mean, it's like
and
by the way, it's
Iraq
the same.
and other
It's the same.
places.
It's the same way of preparation. Whether it's Greek, I am about
Turkish.
to blaspheme.
Turkish.
Oh my God, the Greek and the Turks. I just put them in the same sentence, right?
Yeah, right.
And then the Cypriots. Oh my God, the Cypriot coffee.
I didn't know there was a Cypriot
and then Arabic coffee. But basically, I think the origin is Ottoman Empire, overexposure, that whole area. I mean, there's a whole history and culture that comes with coffee, just like that comes with tea. Not
And isn't
all
coffee?
seriousness.
I may be wrong. Isn't coffee an Arab concoction? Isn't it?
Well, here's the
originally
thing,
traced
right?
its
Here's the
history
thing.
back to
There's a
Middle
lot,
East?
and I'll come back around to this because I think there's a bigger over.
It was just yes or no.
Well, no, it's never yes or no on this show. How long have you been doing this show with me?
It's just a yes or no
Just sit
question.
in your corner. There's no yes and no. Okay, but I just want to be a snob for a minute. Okay.
Okay, but you're going to answer my question at some point because
At some point.
I thought
Maybe.
coffee
I'll think
came out
about
of
it,
an
okay?
Arab culture. Maybe I'm wrong.
No. I think it's an Ottoman thing. I mean, coffee grinded. It's almost like tea. If anything, I would say probably tea was a stronger element because it came across from China on the silk trade routes, and tea was basically more. But it's this brewing thing, right? And we start off the show joking about instant coffee and instant this and instant that. And you were telling me about Prime Day on Amazon, and the #1 product being sold on Amazon is what? Instant Pot?
Yeah.
Yeah, like otherwise, you can buy pod that you can use right away, or you can buy pod that you have to grow, harvest.
I think they were talking
and then
about a pot, not pot you smoke, like a coffee pot or something.
Oh, it's a coffee
like
pot.
a hot pot or something.
Oh, a hot pot.
Yeah.
Oh, well, see, sorry, guys. I
don't
filter
think it was-
everything through the lens of California.
Yes, I don't think that was instant
It's
marijuana.
California. Well, we are talking about coffee houses, and you know what happens in coffee houses in Amsterdam. They're basically just guys for
You're
smoking
just
pot.
bouncing off the wall
I
today. You
am.
are
I've
all
had
over
way
the
too many
place.
cups of
That's
coffee.
coffee.
I've had some coffee. Can you tell? Okay. Right, but I actually grind my beans. I don't do it every day, but I would say I'd probably do it 2 or 3 times a week because there's some left over from a grind the day before. I grind my beans every day or every other day, and I use a French press to make my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And when I go get a cup of coffee from somewhere, and I like a cappuccino, even though I've developed a little bit, I'm sad to say, a little allergy to milk as I've gotten older and decrepit. But the cappuccino that I am used to having is all foam coffee. Not milk, people. Okay, baristas out there, cappuccino doesn't have a lot of milk in it. That's called a latte, so don't give me a latte when I order a cappuccino. So I actually have to order a dry cappuccino. Now, that used to work 6 months ago, but somehow along the way, the dry cappuccino of 6 months ago that got me a cappuccino now doesn't work anymore. So now I have to say super dry, bone dry, desert dry cappuccino in order to basically get a cappuccino. So I am a snob. And
At least you admit it.
I admit it. First step of recovery is to admit that you're a snob.
And
okay?
can I just share with you
But I do not understand people who drink decaf
Can we give you
I mean,
30
that is the lower than the tea.
Can we give you 30
Caffeinated
seconds
tea-
to decaffeinate your conversation here and wind down here?
Wait, hold on. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Coffee, this according to Wikipedia, is
There's
a
nothing in
brewed-
the water. There's just water.
You can't stop him today. Coffee is a brewed drink prepared from roasted coffee beans, which are the seeds of berries from the coffee plant.
Or these are the ones coming out of the squirrel.
It's native to tropical Africa, specifically having its origin in Ethiopia
Yes.
and Sudan. I did not know that.
From
And Madagascar. And some of the islands out there, Mauritius and Reunion. And
Mauritius.
Comoros. The plant was exported from Africa to countries around the world, and now it's cultivated in over 70 countries. But the principle, the 2 most commonly grown coffee beans
Arabica?
are Arabica, or,
Yes.
or I'd say Arabica, because Arabia, which is a form of Arabian coffee.
Yes, it is a dark form, and in fact, what you're talking about as being Arabic coffee or Turkish coffee, whatever, it's actually a blend of a couple of beans, and also has in some cases culturally either cardamom that is included in there, or something. I mean, we have like the people that go to New Orleans and they drink coffee and it's like chicory, right?
That's
Cafe
true.
Cafe de Monde, chicory, coffee, and beignets. I mean, look at this. We've spent 20 minutes talking about culture on coffee.
Mm-hmm.
We have bounced from me more so because I've had much more caffeine than you guys, I guess. But
Way more.
You need to be more armed
Wow.
next time you show up to talk about culture and coffee. But Mauritius, Ethiopia,
You've been to Mauritius.
Turkey. I mean, we've been bouncing all over the place, right? So, what I think it really is at the crux of this is it's a shared social experience.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really have a lot of shared social experiences.
In
we
Ireland,
get in our cars
In Ireland, we call it whiskey, but that's another whole thing.
or awake.
Awake is a social experience.
Awake or awake. You put an A in front of it or no A's.
I've been to wakes.
But the yeah, I'm sure you have. But the thing about it is, again, we've talked about this with the show, right? That I feel like I'm getting away with something every Wednesday at noon, midweek, because I get to sit here and have a conversation that is
Free-ranging.
If you haven't figured it out, free-ranging, right? And basically is not with an agenda list or a to-do list of items or, some sort. We are connecting with people as much as we're in contact with people on Facebook and social media. We're connecting with people one-on-one. You can't really be in a zone where you're checking your emails. You're actually in this conversation. You have no clue.
Where it's going.
Maybe this week more so where this is going, right? But at the end of the day, it's the exchange and the experience and the shared connectivity that is the joy that you get out of it.
Like drinking a cup of
Like
coffee.
drinking a cup of coffee.
So let's cut you off and bring Riley back in. And somebody asked, the correct answer is, what's your full name? You just said Riley. Give us your full name and why you
Well,
started.
she's like Prince.
Why you
You know,
started
it's like-
coffee
she's just-
culture.
she's just
What is
Riley.
coffee culture?
I love
Is it a website? Is it a thing? Give us who you are and what this is.
I can do that. So my name is Riley Insco. There you go. I do have a last name there.
All right.
And OC Coffee Culture was started as an Instagram account. And it was intentionally started on Instagram because I love the community that already exists there. And it is a very image-based sharing platform. And people are constantly tagging and engaging. But I think I need to go backwards a little bit further, and I wanted to say that I was a barista personally for 4 years. Yeah, that's where it started. I was at Starbucks. I wasn't anywhere fancy or specialty, and I will not hate on Starbucks because, I mean, obviously they're doing something right.
They were very, very good to you.
Very, very good. But yeah, so I started there, and I found something interesting happen.
Okay.
I was working as a barista. I mean, I was there at 4 a.m. I'm literally sweeping floors, making drinks. I mean, you name it, I'm probably doing it. But there was something interesting that happened. And I found that coffee became this great equalizer. And this is what I mean by that. It would be 4 a.m. and I'd always work the opening shifts because I was in college at the time and I had classes in the afternoon. So, I mean, what else am I going to do from 4 a.m. to noon? You're going to work. And so I'd open the coffee shop and there would be a lawyer and an executive who'd be walking in, you know, in their suits, and they're usually tying their ties while they're getting their coffee. And then right behind them is a homeless man, and he wants a cup of hot water to go. And I know his name, and I know the executive's name. And then there's a college student who comes in. Each one is treated with the same level of dignity and respect. And each of them is coming to the same central location for the same thing, which is coffee or something that is bringing them together. So I used to call it the great equalizer.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
What else does that? Where else does that? And so for me, I thought that it was just fascinating watching some man who just got out of a Maserati have a conversation with a homeless man and who has a conversation with a college student, all because of this this common beverage, this common thing that brings us all together, that's as ritualistic as brushing your teeth
so
in the
how
morning.
do you react to I just have to throw this in because I can't miss this opportunity to be in the moment.
Yeah.
Or because you just throw things in anyway.
Starbucks obviously got slammed hard because one of their stores kicked out what appeared to be two poor black men because they thought just trying to use the bathroom or whatever they were there, and undercutting this notion that this is a equalizer gathering point. Except if you look homeless or poor, we don't want you here and go out.
And that's a good point. And I think that Starbucks handled it very well because that is counterculture, and I am by no means a Starbucks spokesperson, and I can't speak for them, but from my experience working as a barista, to be quite honest, I found it to be a gathering place for people of all different backgrounds, and that was not my experience. I understand it was the experience for that store, which was quite unfortunate. But something I think that Starbucks prides themselves on, and a lot of coffee shops do, is they like to call themselves the third place. I mean, there's a reason why we all love the show Friends, or we all love Cheers, right?
It's a third place.
It's a third place. You have your home, you have your office, and then you have to have a third place, a gathering space, somewhere where you can come together.
Which used to be like the bar for happy hour.
And the pub.
And then with the down economy, it even took on more of a sort of a sense of where you spent more time and connected with people. You know, the other thing that you mentioned, and I think it made me realize, first of all, I never really looked at it that way, and I think you're absolutely correct. It is very much an equalizer in egalitarian place. The other thing is that attorney that may be coming out of Maserati, I know we're stereotyping, but attorney that's coming out of Maserati, it is Orange County, so we stereotype all the time, right? And coming in the morning at that time, they still don't have their full game on.
No, that's correct.
So you're catching
they're vulnerable.
You're catching people in that time of vulnerability while they're still ramping up. And I don't know about you, but until I have that coffee in me, I am not safe to myself or to others around me.
You are spot on, and I think that that's something I enjoyed so much was the vulnerability aspect. I mean, literally, I actually thought it was amazing that the guys would come in and they're literally tying their tie. They're finishing getting dressed while they're waiting for me to finish, like, the coffee, and then, like, sometimes they'll tie their shoes or, whatever it is. It's a guard down
Yeah, you're seeing people a little bit more to their truth than the masks and the guys that they're about to put on for the rest of the day. Wow. And that's something that I didn't realize would come with working at a coffee shop. I mean, I knew from the families and the kids and when they went on vacation. So working as a barista is a very personal experience. But moreover, it exposed me to this community. And it exposed me to this
genuine culture. And I think that that's kind of where this OC coffee culture idea was sparked for me was, oh, there is a culture that comes not only with coffee drinking, but for me, because I lived in Orange County and I worked in Orange County and I went to school in Orange County, very specific to Orange County. And I mean, there's lots of different places all over the country.
And so what's different here? We certainly had change. What, didn't Dietrich start here?
Yep.
So we've had,
which is now Keen's.
And now it's Keen's. And those of us who remember Dietrich's that are diehard snobs, we have an affinity because of Orange County and because of Dietrich's coffee. I mean, there used to be a place called Jitters down on University.
Jitters.
Right, Jitters. Which I thought, you know what? Honesty in advertising. I mean, okay, this is my interior design side of it, but I've always imagined actually designing a coffee shop that was basically almost the equivalence of a Colombian coffee shack, okay, in the middle of a Colombian coffee field, and had names that things you order was like Shot in the Arm, or Straight to My Vein. I mean, let's just cut through the chase and admit that we have a substance abuse problem for coffee.
Legal addictive stimulants.
Legal addictive stimulant.
Yeah.
I really do love it. What I'm curious about, Riley, is, okay, so you have this sense, right? You're in that space, you're experiencing, right? How do you get from you're in it, you're immersed in it, you're experiencing it, to actually distilling it down to a thread that causes you to say, okay, this is something that would fit on this platform. And I think it's interesting that you didn't do, for example, we're going to set up a website and we're going to do all this. It actually went directly into an exchange platform of ideas, and not even Facebook, not even the huge super highway. This is a short snippet, short video, photo-driven medium.
Yep. I found that whenever people go to a coffee shop, there's a couple things that they do always.
Okay.
They go, they order, they wait, and then they take out their phone and they take a picture of their coffee.
They really do?
They really
it's like
do.
What they call food porn, where people take pictures of food.
Hey, when they spell my name right on the side of my cup, instead of Rodney or R-O-D, they actually put R-A-A-D or even R-A-D. Oh, my God, I take a picture and document that moment.
Of course you are. And so in that, there's something about the sharing, the community, and they'll be posting, they'll be tagging these coffee shops. And so for me, I come from a marketing and advertising background, and so part of me was like, all right, I have this passion for capturing this coffee community and this coffee space for two reasons. One, because I think people are going to be looking for coffee shops to enjoy, so from a consumer point of view, but also from the perspective of there's a lot of specialty coffee shops in Orange County that need the visibility, that need to have a platform where people can find them. So it's for two reasons. But I also didn't want to be spearheading, going around, taking all these photos, and I mean, I didn't have the time. But that is the magic of user-generated content. So I decided, well, there's all these photos all around Instagram of all these different coffee shops. Why not just aggregate them? Why not give people a space that if they tag or if they share #OC coffee culture, they will be reposted onto my account, which will then share their photo, which everybody loves to have their post shared or their image.
15 seconds of fame.
Absolutely.
So can I ask one question here? So I got it now.
Just one.
Is there a business model?
I like her. She's picking up on you.
Or is this just a pursuit of passion? Is this a business that you're trying to develop? Or is there a financial model in this? Or is this just
Hold on a second. Turn the tables on him. Okay.
Oh, don't.
Turn the tables on him. Paul?
Yes.
Is doing a radio station and a radio show a financial decision, or is it a pursuit of passion?
It can be both.
Moving on to the next question. No,
It
but
can-
I mean,
it can be both.
It can be, and at this time, it's a point of passion. To be
Right.
very honest with you, I mean, this is to me something that needs to be there, and I just have a deep passion for ensuring that these specialty coffee shops have a platform and have a space, and it's something that's growing. I mean, obviously, we have thousands and thousands of tags coming in daily from people in Orange County who are tagging. So obviously, there's a need for this. Obviously, there's a want for this, and at this time,
well, and it's a trust source for share of information because, like, I remember when I first found out about, and I'm going to do a couple of plugs. Okay, Portola.
Absolutely.
Coffee at the OC Mix, right, on Sunflower down the street here for about 10 minutes. I found out about that by word of mouth from
Absolutely.
somebody who is equally a snob when it comes to their coffee. I found out about Bear Coast down in San Clemente because I was local, but even though I was local, I didn't know that they were basically sharing a counter at the Cellar restaurant on Del Mar until they got their own place across from the pier. And I would go down. I couldn't tell you that I have gone down to the Cellar more than a handful of times, but I went down for the coffee that was served on the same counter that in the afternoon and evening became the Cellar restaurant, but in the morning was actually Beer Coast coffee. Okay, for about 4 hours or 6 hours. I went down there for coffee because they made an amazing cup of coffee, and how I got to know about that was word of mouth. So to go to a trusted source, OC Coffee Culture, to see this shared, to have the content delivered directly by
cool
people.
idea. All right, I got 2 more questions,
awesome.
and then I'll try and back off, because I am the only person in Orange County who does not drink coffee.
Ooh.
I hate coffee. I don't like the flavor of it. I don't like the taste of it. It's bitter. The only way I can drink it is if you pile so much sugar and cream into it, it doesn't taste like coffee.
I think there's probably deeper reasons for
I'm the
resentment.
only American I know that doesn't ever drink coffee. Now, so I was amazed to see the growth of coffee, whatever it was, 20 years ago or whatever
The
it was,
80s.
80s, yeah.
when it went from being something you gave away to get somebody to stay
Like
in
at a
your
diner or
restaurant, at a
something.
diner, to something people paid premium prices for every day. How did that transition happen? And is it still is that still growing, or is that a fad like my cargo shorts that have come and gone?
Well, let me put it to you this way. When you walk into a Starbucks and you're waiting in line and you know you're about to pay $6 for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Are you going to pay $6 because it is the best coffee in the world? Or are you about to pay $6 because your barista is going to smile and say, "Hey, Rad, good morning. Good to see you again. How did the radio show go?"
I don't go shop in that experience.
Right. Well, so what happens is that it becomes an experience, and what's being sold is no longer a good, it's an experience. And I honestly think that that's what transformed the coffee industry as a whole. I mean, coffee shops became that gathering space. Coffee shops became an experience. They became a place where you could be known and recognized, and it transformed from, like you said, something you give away for free to bribe people to stay,
Right.
to this is a curated experience. It's a moment, and it also it gave an alternative to a bar, right? Like you kind of had that in a bar scene, or you had that in a drinking space.
Cheers,
and
Norm. Everybody knew your name.
Yeah, exactly. But what happens when that transitions into in the morning, or people being known? I think that really is what it comes back to. Is people want to be known.
Paul, do me a favor. Look up when DARE, the anti-driving, driving thing
Mothers
happened.
Against Drunk Driving and all that kind of
MAD,
stuff.
Right?
That was probably about the same
That was
time.
all about the same time.
Yeah.
So it's also interesting that
It's the anti-bar. It's similar,
anti-bar, but
similar crowd, similar vibe, but we're not going to get
But
drunk.
there's also a human component need, right?
Right, to
We
connect.
are DNA wired as a race for connectivity. Okay, that's just the way it is. You can tell me you are the most introverted person on the planet, and I will tell you that's fine. But at some point, it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
Okay, and so a place of belonging, a place where you feel like you are known and you're not just a now serving number, whatever.
Right.
To have a connectivity with somebody who's across the counter, to where it's not just a cup of coffee, it's the shared experience during the exchange.
And
of the cup
that's
of
why I
coffee.
don't think that when McDonald's and others started selling premium coffee, they didn't get it. I'll challenge Riley. I don't think it's just the product anymore that people are buying and
don't
the
think it ever
passion they
really
have for it.
was.
I think it is partly the experience of somebody knowing your name, like Cheers, but I think it's the gathering. I think you're onto that third place, because I will go into a Starbucks because they have free Wi-Fi and have a meeting there, and I see people reading the newspaper and hanging out. I don't see it quite as social interaction as a bar, but there is some gathering there.
What do you order when you go into a Starbucks, Paul?
I get the little non-coffee smoothie kind of things or whatever.
Frappuccinos.
Frappuccinos,
There you
yeah.
Oh, so you still order a premium drink.
If I go there,
So
yeah.
the
Because
fun
it's sweet,
part-
and I like super sweet, sugary things. So.
Well, the fun part is that I remember I was in college at the time, obviously working as a barista, and I decided for my psychology, like 101, you had to choose a product or a project. I decided to say, what does your coffee order say about you? Okay, I don't know if I was supposed to do this or not, but we're just going to throw it out there. So
We'll throw it out.
So I took a sample of every customer that came in for, I don't know, 3 days, I put them into categories and kind of put, stereotyped, quote unquote, them and see what they ordered to see if it would match personality traits, to see if it would match demographics, to see if it would match these things. And what you order at a coffee shop is actually quite indicative of who you are and your personality.
I'm afraid to ask, but I'm very intrigued. So what were the results?
So the results were, kind of what you would expect. Men oftentimes would be very straightforward with Americanos, mochas maybe, straightforward black coffee, but they would always try to appear like they had the control of the ordering and they were not going to be adding too many details, and it was just straightforward. Usually it was the women, probably 30 to 40, that were the suckers for the promotions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had...
Spoken like a true breeze, a sucker for the promotion. What are we going to sucker him with this week?
Capitalism at its best. Right?
Yeah, it was. And then you had, people who were quieter sometimes, and they would be the ones with the least complicated drinks, or people who walk in who are high maintenance. They'd order the high maintenance drinks. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's pretty much basic, but you could always tell about people's personalities, about how they would order or why they would order.
Who orders all the ones they stereotype on Friends? The double mocha, coca, caca, cuckoo.
Yeah, unfortunately, my drink's a lot like that, so we're not going to talk about it.
Oh, well, we're not ending the show without going around the room. Paul's already outed himself. I'm
a sweet frou-frou kind of guy. I'm
there
sorry to say.
So what was? We'll start with this, and then we'll come back to our own individual drinks. But what was the weirdest drink that you ever got ordered?
Oh, there's too many to name. Well, honestly, I think...
pick one of the ones.
Oh, my goodness. I think that the people who want me to count their ice cubes, that was always the odd one.
They count... Why do they count their ice cubes?
I don't know.
Because they want more liquid? They want less...
I remember as a gentleman who wanted 6 ice cubes. So, not 5. It was 6. But you know what? Here's the deal, and this is what I always went back
anal.
to. Well, maybe. And I mean, so there's always this joke, right, that you're a bitter barista. Because it is easy whenever you're working in a customer...
You're a bitter barista?
Bitter, I love that.
Oh, yes. Well, so...
Bitter coffee, bitter barista.
Yeah. Well, whenever you're working with people, there's always that urge to only take the negatives, really, and get bitter about it or angry about it. And you know what I would always start to say when they'd say, "Can I have 6 ice cubes?" or you have 3.5 Splenda? Or although I did have someone ask for 36 Splenda one time.
36, that's mean.
Yeah. But what I would always say
just
in the morning,
pour the sugar in and leave the liquid.
Yeah, it was not good. But
Skip the liquid.
What I always used to say is, you know what, you can't have control of a lot of things in life, but if I can give you your coffee the exact way that you want it, and you can have control of it, by all means, it is my pleasure to do so.
My whole life is out of control, but when I go order my
coffee is under control.
For the 20 minutes to 30 minutes that I'm basically sitting there quietly, hiding from the world.
I'm in control.
I can appreciate that. So, I never really minded, to be honest with you. The wacky requests, the off-the-wall things. You know what? We all need our own semblance of control.
What's your wacky drink? Now you brought it up. What's your convoluted creation?
It's the best.
All right.
I'm not going to brag here, but no. So what you do is you go in and you get a doppio espresso.
A who? A what?
Oh, doppio. So it's 2 shots of espresso over ice in a grande cup. You ask for the shots to be ristretto, which means that they're going to be more highly concentrated, less water, stronger beans. With extra ice, light breve, and if you're feeling fancy, maybe 1 pump of vanilla, and it's
what's
pretty
breve?
much
I don't know what breve is.
It's half and half.
Just
what? Half and half, so
half
just
and
a
half.
little bit. So you just get it just the right amount of caffeine.
Strong coffee,
yeah,
concentrated on ice,
yeah,
with a shot of half and half,
yeah,
and maybe a pump of vanilla
if you're feeling
it,
yeah,
feeling frisky.
So no, but so Starbucks nailed the model, but what I think is so unique, going even backwards to Orange County and to the specialty coffee shops, is that Starbucks was just the beginning. You know, Starbucks really, they paved the way, and I mean, that's why I appreciate that I started my career there. It really paved the way for this environment, but specialty coffee shops also have their own niche and their own way of doing this. They took something that's commercial and they made it personal again.
I honestly believe that coffee shops and the way that the unique coffee shops and the independent roasters and all of that stuff, just very similarly to the small production wineries in the past.
Yep.
I think they paved the way for the for the microbreweries. They made that kind of culture and that kind of culture around a product that is customized and smaller production.
Yep.
They made it okay, and they made the business model work. And so, I don't think any of this is going to go away anytime. Are we going to take a break, Paul?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
before we go to the break, though, Riley, I want to connect this for people relevant to exactly OC coffee culture when we come back. Like all of this that we talked about, which is really stuff we do either instinctively or we're engaged in somehow, or we really are very much involved in, and we visit a coffee shop about 2-3 times a week. How does this now translate into a digital platform where I am not necessarily sitting in the same room with people? Okay, so we're going to take a break and we'll come back.
Oh, hang on. We were going to do all that, and I didn't even have the break up here.
Okay,
so
so Paul will get the break. Let's give people. So it's OC Coffee Culture on Instagram.
Yep.
Do you have it on Facebook?
I just linked it to Facebook. It's more live on Instagram as I intended it to
Right,
be.
and it's a great page. So go check it out. OC Coffee Culture on Instagram. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Riley.
Imagine what it would feel like to lose everything. Your job, your home, your family, your dignity. This has happened to thousands of the men, women, veterans, and young adults we serve at Working Wardrobes. What do we do to help? We provide career development services, life skills workshops, job skills training. We provide the perfect interview outfit, and we get clients placed in jobs. Call Working Wardrobes, 714-210-2460. Donate, volunteer, invest, hire.
Let's face it, not all company challenges are the same, which is why Strategic Market Intelligence can help identify the actionable information you need to be more competitive. Gain a better understanding of your brand, competition, best prospects, or new product opportunities to generate greater revenues in 2015. Call 949-357-9547 or visit www.strategicmarketintelligence.com.
I'm on the observation deck of the Empire State Building to demonstrate how much material Waste Management recycles. As North America's largest residential recycler, last year alone, Waste Management recycled 12.9 million tons. How much is that? Let's do the math. Carry the 6. It's enough to fill this building more than 27 times. With experience like that, we're bound to have a program that can help your business recycle. Talk to Waste Management or visit thinkgreen.com.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're back. Hold
we
on.
got some hot topics
Some
to
of
go
the stuff
into.
that happens during the break around here, honestly, it just gets you going, and that I have not had coffee for the last half an hour. Okay, but we were talking about how Paul was like, well, and then there's this product, and people are basically tying in like, maybe the coffee bean farmers in, I don't know, the northern hillsides of whatever, Ethiopia, and how that benefits their village and gets running water and electricity where there hasn't been one. And I'm like, you know what, Paul, I'm all for social responsibility. I'm all for making the world a better place. But there are some times when we have gone way overboard. It's like if I go in and if I feel guilty that I have to buy something that has some social responsibility component to it. Otherwise, I am somehow a lesser human being.
But I'm telling you, it's huge. I'm just googling.
Yeah,
the topic.
but it's at some point all of this is happening. If you give me 10 if you give me 10 companies, and every single one of those 10 companies has some social sort of button or tag or something somewhere on their website that speaks about their philanthropical nature of the company, right? I got 10 companies that are all telling me the same thing. Okay, so that's great, guys. But I mean, what else do you guys do? Why should I buy your product?
You may poo-poo it, but I'm telling you, we've had them in here, and you can go Google them. There are lots of socially responsible coffee companies where they're buying what's called fair trade. They're buying it outside of these co-ops.
Right, and it's not Blood Diamonds, and it's not this. I mean,
they're buying it directly from these smaller growers, and therefore, when you're buying that $6 cup, you feel like you're helping some poor farmer.
I can't buy
Ethiopia.
I can't buy coffee that comes through an animal. What is that, like monkey or squirrel or whatever? That where they eat the coffee.
Oh yeah, he processes
and
the
then
bean
they process the beans. I can't do that because I feel that's basically animal abuse, and they basically
you're laughing at, but I'm telling you, this is a big movement. Socially
I think Peter's against any coffee that's coming through.
You're laughing, but socially responsible. If you're going to consume coffee, then I want it to be coffee that has been grown socially responsible.
It's not just the baristas that are bitter.
No, it's not.
Radio hosts are bitter too.
You don't buy any.
No, but I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that the coffee industry in and of itself, if it's going to be sustainable and if it's going to survive, it needs to be supported through the social responsibility aspect. But it can be done in a way where it's inherent in the business, and the coffee shops and specialty coffee shops and conglomerates like Starbucks need to be responsible without forcing their consumers to feel like it's their responsibility. It's ultimately up to those chains like Starbucks.
I'll tell you why I sound jaded. Okay.
You're not jaded.
Yeah, a little bit. At 53, I am a little jaded.
You just want good coffee. You don't care where it comes from.
Okay. In a way, yes. Okay. Now, I also want it to not be high in acidity, so because I'm worried about my health and I want to make sure that I can enjoy it. But I will tell you why I'm jaded.
Yes.
Okay. When it comes to this particular thing, it's because I have served on a lot of boards, and some of the nonprofit boards that I've served on, we've had corporate people come in and basically volunteer a lot of the people within their staff to do a team building exercise that has to do with some social responsible activity, and then other than that 1 month a year that they basically were involved in this, nothing in their corporate culture basically was consistent. So walk the talk. If I have no problem, and I actually champion anybody that is taking this approach, but don't just make it greenwashing. Don't just make it where it's just a label, right? Because everybody can put an 8x10 glossy. Live your truth. And if you are a company that's doing that, you can tell.
Yep.
And should you?
And by the way, we're all very awake on caffeine, so we really get it. Like, we can see right through it if it's not genuine.
So should I take my $6 coffee business and only give it to those who are passing that benefit all the way down to the poor farmer in Ethiopia who grows the beans for me, or
you don't
do
drink
I not
coffee,
care?
so it's a mute question.
Yeah, the sugar farmer.
But let's talk about that, because we did say OC coffee culture, and I know this is not necessarily OC when we're talking about the farmer or the village in Africa, but you know what? We have homeless. We have other issues in Orange County. So what happens? Do I frequent that coffee shop, that roaster that basically is doing more than just giving a cup of hot water to that homeless person that walks into the shop?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that one of the things that I love about local businesses in particular is that they find ways to give back on a local scale and also a global scale. So there's no way around understanding that coffee is a global industry, and that we have to be responsible in how we source our beans and how we support. Otherwise, I mean, we're just not being good stewards of our resources.
Right.
And I think that shops understand that. I mean, especially on a local level, I've seen so many of our local shops, whether it be Hidden House Coffee or Bad Coffee in Costa Mesa, find ways to really source their beans ethically, or, have trips where their teams go and whatever it may be. All while giving back to local communities. And I think it has to be twofold. I don't think that it's either one. I think it has to be together.
So let me go one step further then.
Thank you for not outing Hidden House Coffee. It's really funny. She listed 2, but she only gave a location of 1. And I know why, because Hidden House Coffee is her favorite and one of my favorites.
Oh,
so
okay.
we're keeping it hidden for a minute.
Yeah, well, I do have to. Ben, who's the founder of Hidden House Coffee, he's an alumni of Vanguard University, my university.
There you
so
go.
People
we go back.
Go Google it, people. It's worth definitely, but there's a reason why it's called Hidden.
I got to go once beyond this hidden thing, because the other socially responsible angle that has put coffee in the news, Starbucks in particular, is for years they were being. You're socially responsible, but you're filling up the landfills with all this trash that people are carrying around, just like fast food restaurants. So should you be creating better cups and containers and finding a way to cut down on the trash you're contributing to the landfills? And Starbucks has, to their credit, stood up and said, we'll try it. We'll go without. Let's see what happens when we get rid of all the straws.
Absolutely, and I think that it's measures like that will go a long way in keeping this industry moving forward and innovating and finding different ways to be responsible. I mean, for the Keurig cups is a great example. I mean, I am no authority on this by any means, but Keurig cups, when he first developed this idea, they weren't recyclable, and he didn't think about it at the time. So, I mean, you learn as you go, and unfortunately, sometimes they have negative consequences. But I would like to think that, especially on a local scale in these smaller coffee shops, they have the opportunity to think about every layer of their business, from how they source their beans to how they roast their beans in-house to all of those things, which allows them to, in turn, be more socially
But to Rad's
conscious.
earlier point, why do they held to the standard? The bars that I used to own, we didn't worry about where the wheat was grown for the whiskey or where the barley came from that went into the beer. We didn't worry about any giving back programs. We're just there to make you feel good.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's what... I think that there's a generational shift. I think that there's I think that there's a cultural shift, you know. I am a firm believer that every generation offers its own benefits. I know that there's always that hatred between baby boomers and millennials. My parents are baby boomers, so
God love them.
There's no
God curse you and all the millennials who follow.
No. I honestly think that every generation has brought something unique to each industry. And for coffee, like you said, I mean, in the 1980s, you had the focus of bringing coffee from being just one simple cup to being something else, and maybe there wasn't as strong of a focus at the time about where the beans came from. But now there is that time and there is that opportunity. So I think that it all comes full circle, honestly. And
so
we all
what
work
is it? I'm going to
together.
ask both of you this question as a non-coffee drinker, who's somebody who never got it, never understood it. What is it about that beverage? Is it the fact that it does have caffeine in it and therefore it pumps you up? Is it the slow process in which you have to make it and a process? I can't just pull it out and drink it.
The ritualistic component.
Yeah, it's not Coke. I can't just pop a cap and drink it, shoot it down. Is it the fact that it's the time of day it's consumed? It's not, I don't know, it's sitting down, it's stopping,
Riley,
it's
you
slowing
wanna
down.
I'll jump. I
Any
mean,
of those.
I think that it's any and all of those. And I think that there's something so special about a culture that is so focused on busy. We're very focused on busy. We're very focused on our productivity, our to-do lists. That is how we measure our worth. There's something very unique about, like you said, grinding the beans, preparing, doing either a pour over or a French press. I mean, some mornings
Just to brew it, just to have to wait.
But it's a process, and you enjoy the process, and you enjoy the coming together. And there's something about that in particular that drives a community. And I think that, I mean, when you really get, I mean, there's specialty industries and everything. I mean, even in, I mean, beer, are you kidding?
Yeah.
There's that people who make their own beer. There's always going to be those specialty niches where you're going to find people who enjoy the process. I mean, it doesn't help that caffeine's addicting too, but.
Well, but I mean, so are a lot of other things. And I can have my caffeine in an instant mug with water and put it in the microwave, but I will not do that.
Right.
There's a ritualistic component. It's the same thing as
comforting.
when I stepped away from a disposable razor and use a single blade butterfly, and I basically take the time to use a brush and lather my face.
You don't do that.
Yes,
Come
I do
on.
every day.
Just grab something
Every
and
day.
go. Zip,
and,
zip.
And that basically sets the whole tone. Taking 5 minutes and meditating in the morning, call it meditation of the smell of coffee or not. But this is all aspects that the more we are busy and every moment of our lives is written up and documented and put on a schedule and a calendar, these are moments where we are going to be hungry for more of. And this is one of the situations. So going to what I asked before the break, putting it on a digital format, having it not really be something that's an in-person thing, how has it been? Has this translated?
It's translated almost seamlessly, which I was pleasantly surprised by. It turns into a gathering space digitally where you're encouraging a physical interaction. So, for example, someone will tag or post and will repost and will say, who's been here recently? Did you try this drink? And you'll look in the comments and it's, I was just there yesterday. I'm going there today. I loved this one beverage. It's also instant. So you have to think about Instagram as being a instant platform. So you're sharing in the moment, right when you're there. I mean, you might run into people who are there. I mean, that happens to me quite often where I'll be posting and all of a sudden I'll look and
I just saw you post.
Yeah, I was just there, and then we meet up. And so I think that's the digital space. It should not and cannot replace a physical environment that is a coffee shop, but it can bring together all of these different coffee shops, all these different locations, and bring together this greater community and allow them to engage with one another and allow them to share in these experiences, whether that looks like meetups, whether that looks like, sharing recommendations. One of my favorite things that Orange County has done in the coffee space is, when you have a punch card or a reward card, right? You get 10, you come back, you get something for free. Well, in Orange County, specialty coffee shops did a punch card, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, where 10 different coffee shops, 10 unrelated, not owned by the same person coffee shops, took a rewards card and said, if you go to each of these 10 shops in Orange County, you can come back to any one of them and get a free cup of coffee. That is the power of community.
And they're not all co-owned? There is like cross-promotion?
It is altruistic cross-promotion because the success of one is the success of all.
Yes.
And I think that is what I what I found and why I created this digital space is that it isn't competition necessarily. I mean, obviously, we're all in business and we all
Sure.
want to make money. But at the end of the day, it's about raising this community that is greater than
A
competition.
rising tide rises all ships.
Absolutely. And I think that the coffee industry does an excellent job of that, because you have people from all different walks of life. You have people from all different backgrounds and interests looking to find a common ground, find a common space. And the specialty coffee shops of Orange County not only are championing that, but they're leading a charge of something that can be bigger and can be greater.
So here's really sort of taken away from coffee for a second, but here's what I'm hearing also, is doing a platform of this nature, where traditionally it would be a business-driven content development. This is content developed by the viewer,
Yep.
by the contributor. That is not under the control of the company or the corporation situation.
Or the man.
It would scare the living daylights out of people that are trying to control content. You are actually allowing for free flow content development. And what this actually, I think, could very well be a model that applies across multiple industries. Because if you are a community and you are allowing people to contribute, now you gotta kind of moderate a little bit, because some people are going to abuse it. But that is a really interesting way to step away from a controlled, costly content development and do this in a shared environment. I mean, I can think of spas.
Yes.
I can think of places
Yes.
where there's sort of a community, tribe kind of feeling, a shared experience kind of component.
And what comes with that is high levels of trust, because what's happening time and time
Right.
again, especially so my background in advertising and marketing, we are less, I mean, millennials in general are less likely to believe in advertisement and far more interested in believing someone else's post. That's with the rise of influencer marketing. However, with influencer
It's
marketing,
also been abused at this
it
point.
has been abused because everybody understands that it's still paid, which is why I have been very protective of this account as it's growing in its infancy.
Good for you.
It is not paid. It is not. I mean, I literally have that in the bio that it is not paid. It is not sponsored. At this time, it is purely organic, user-generated content. People sharing their experiences, and I want to protect that, because I think that there's going to be a tide shift, just like there is, in any industry, in any space. We went from heavy ads where you saw an ad in the paper and you went to go buy it because the ad said to this lack of trust, and now we're going to pay people to tell you, like celebrity influencers. Well, celebrities don't work anymore, so we're going to go to your microbloggers. Well, microbloggers don't work anymore.
Right.
Well, they do, but it could be tricky.
Yeah.
So what now? And I think that we have to really hone in on this idea of people are talking about it. People are wanting to talk about it. People are wanting to engage. And how are we going to give them a platform to do so?
Best explanation I've heard of the evolution of digital marketing and the influence that advertisers have or don't have over their customers.
And a great spot to end this.
Yeah.
So how do we? You start by actually going to OC Coffee Culture on Instagram.
Yep.
And you engage. And there's something to be said about experiencing this as it happens. And, pour yourself a cup of coffee while you're doing it. Or tea, or, a frappuccino for Paul. But, Riley, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's awesome. I can't wait to see where this goes, because I thought it was just an account on Instagram about coffee. It's so much more than that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So...
You have been listening to the Raad Life radio show with your host and age explorer, Rad Gantos, brought to you on the one and only octalkradio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older.
Imagine what it would feel like to lose everything: your job, your home, your family, your dignity. This has happened to thousands of the men, women, veterans, and young adults we serve at Working Wardrobes. What do we do to help? We provide career development services, life skills workshops, job skills training. We provide the perfect interview outfit, and we get clients placed in jobs. Call Working Wardrobes, 714-210-2460. Donate, volunteer, invest, hire.
Imagine buying a newspaper and discovering that the news you're reading is 6 months old. There isn't much that stays the same for 6 months. And the same thing goes for background checks. In a time when so much outdated information is being passed around, it's good to know that People